Good evening. This is Tuesday, April 8th, 210 days until the 2008 presidential election. The Bush administration spent 2007 escalating the American troop presence in Iraq and laying the groundwork for an open-ended occupation, all the while insisting it would reevaluate come September, a reevaluation that concluded stay the course. The wool was so easily pulled over the eyes of much of the country that today at a Senate hearing, the first half general, half politician in this nation's history, David Petraeus, did it again. Right down to symbolically using an identical calendar, only with 2007 crossed off and 2008 written in crayon. Our fifth story on the countdown, after the last surge withdrawals in July, Petraeus says add 45 days and then the military will reevaluate Iraq. July plus 45 days equals September. Again. At the same time, President Bush, with tears in his eyes and his lower lip theatrically trembling, awarded a Medal of Freedom posthumously to an American hero, Petty Officer Michael Anthony Mansour, who died saving his comrades from a grenade in Ramadi in September 2006. While that was happening, his surrogates were on Capitol Hill arguing to keep more American troops in harm's way, apparently indefinitely.
I recommended to my chain of command that we continue the drawdown of the surge combat forces, and that upon the withdrawal of the last surge brigade combat team in July, we undertake a 45-day period of consolidation and evaluation. At the end of that period, we will commence a process of assessment to examine the conditions on the ground and, over time, determine when we can make recommendations for further reductions.
And even in September 2008, just as in September 2007, we will not necessarily be any closer to knowing when U.S. troops can start coming home.
Are you giving us any ideas to how long that will take? You say over time.
Sir,
could that be a month? Could that be 2 months?
Sir, it could be less than that. Could
it be more than that?
It could be more than that. Again, it's when the conditions are met that we can make a recommendation for further reductions.
Could it be 3 months?
Sir, again, at the end of the period of consolidation and evaluation, it could be right then, or it could be longer.
Let's assume conditions permitted things to move quickly. What, in your estimate, would be the approximate number of American troops there at the end of the year? Can you give us just say if you can't give us an estimate?
All right, sir, I can't give you an estimate.
You're not going to give us an estimate on that.
Noticeably absent from both General Petraeus's and Ambassador Crocker's prepared testimony, the word benchmark, specifically the 18 benchmarks that the Iraqi government was meant to reach in order to make the president's surge an actual success, presumably because only 4 of those benchmarks have actually been met.
We haven't turned any corners. We haven't seen any lights at the end of the tunnel. The champagne bottle's been pushed to the back of the refrigerator, and the progress, while real, is fragile and is reversible.
Immense challenges remain, and progress is uneven and often frustratingly slow. But there is progress. Sustaining that progress will require continuing U.S. resolve and commitment. What has been achieved is substantial, but it is also reversible.
It's not enough to lead to withdrawals, but it is enough to run a presidential campaign on. As to what that continuing resolve and commitment will be, the ambassador detailed a security agreement currently being drafted between the U.S. and the Iraqi government, which, despite Mr. Crocker's assurance that U.S. support need not be open-ended, appears to allow exactly that.
U.S. forces will remain in Iraq beyond December 31st, 2008, when the UN resolution presently governing their presence expires. Our troops will need basic authorizations and protections to continue operations, and this agreement will provide those authorizations and protections. The agreement will not establish permanent bases in Iraq, and we anticipate that it will expressly forswear them. The agreement will not specify troop levels, and it will not tie the hands of the next administration. Our aim is to ensure that the next president arrives in office with a stable foundation upon which to base policy decisions. And that is precisely what this agreement will do. Congress will remain fully informed as these negotiations proceed in the coming weeks and months.
Congress may remain fully informed, but apparently totally uninvolved, as Senator Clinton discovered this afternoon.
Does the administration plan to submit this agreement to our Congress?
At this point, Senator, we do not anticipate that the agreements will have within them any elements that would require the advice and consent procedure. We intend to negotiate this as an executive agreement.
Well, Ambassador Crocker, it seems odd, I think, to Americans who are being asked to commit for an indefinite period of time the lives of our young men and women in uniform, the civilian employees whom you rightly referenced and thanked, as well as billions of dollars of additional taxpayer dollars. If the Iraqi parliament may have a chance to consider this agreement, that the United States Congress would not.
The chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee finding that even more than just odd. He deemed it unacceptable.
Mr. Ambassador, I would not presume that if the security agreement with Iraq goes beyond a status of forces agreement, that you need only inform the Congress. You need to do much more than inform the Congress. You need the permission of the Congress if you're going to bind the next president of the United States in anything you agree to.
As to what else the next American president might be bound to, the subject of Iran kept cropping up in the context of Iraq.
Are the Iranians still training and equipping Iraqi extremists who are going back into Iraq and killing American soldiers?
That is correct, Senator. The special group's activities have, in fact, come out in greater relief during the violence of recent weeks. It is they who have the expertise to shoot rockets more accurately, shoot mortars more accurately, and to employ some of the more advanced material, the explosively formed projectiles and the like, that have not just killed our soldiers and Iraqi soldiers, but also have been used to assassinate two Southern governors in past months,
right,
and two Southern police chiefs. So they are a serious concern.
And as far as what, if anything, might qualify as success in Iraq, and to what extent al-Qaeda and Iran's supposed influence there need to be diminished before U.S. troops can start to come home, Senator Obama tried and largely failed to get a straight answer on that.
The problem I have is if the definition of success is so high, no traces of al-Qaeda, and no possibility of reconstitution, a highly effective Iraqi government, a democratic, multi-ethnic, multi-sectarian, functioning democracy, no Iranian influence, at least not of the kind that we don't like, then that portends the possibility of us staying for 20 or 30 years. If, on the other hand, our criteria is a messy, sloppy status quo, but there's not, huge outbreaks of violence, there's still corruption, but the country's struggling along, but it's not a threat to its neighbors, and it's not an al-Qaeda base, that seems to me an achievable goal within a measurable time frame. And that, I think, is what everybody here on this committee has been trying to drive at, and we haven't been able to get as clear of an answer as we would like.
And that's because, Senator, it is don't like to sound like a broken record, but this is hard and this is complicated.
Thanks for that.